My name is Byron Andreas, and I am the Lone Wolf Traveler. I am taking a 7,000-mile trip across America. I'll be going to 24 different states, and I'll be riding 5 different AMTRAK trains to places that I've always dreamed of going for my 34th birthday, and to also celebrate overcoming almost 10 years of some very hard depression. When I was a child, my aunt would tell me these beautiful stories of traveling across the world, and it's inspired me to get out there and travel. Unfortunately, she passed away from cancer a few years ago, and it was definitely very hard for me. And because she's inspired me to travel, I'm honoring this video for her and her legacy. And I also hope that this video inspires many people out there to travel for their mental health, to see the bigger world, and to reflect upon their life. Tomorrow starts my big trip across America. So my plan is to do this. I'm taking the Northeast Regional train from New Haven to Washington, D.C., and then I'm taking the Capital Limited train from D.C. to Chicago, the Southwest Cheif from Chicago all the way to Los Angeles, and then the Sunset Limited from Los Angeles to New Orleans, and then from New Orleans to Chicago, I'm going to take the city of New Orleans. Then I'm going to take the Lakeshore Limited from Chicago all the way to Rhode Island. I've worked really hard towards this. I work at a hospital. I work 64-hour weeks. About myself is that, I used to have really, really serious depression. Thought of suicide for a couple of years. And I'm also just doing this video because I want to encourage people with mental health issues or people who have gone through some hardship in their life to kind of get out and travel. What I learned that helps me out is finding newness in the world, and also just, really just, getting into nature and just trying new things and making myself happy and getting away from people and my problems, and traveling has done that. And I think for some people who are struggling a bit, I encourage you guys to do the exact same thing that I'm doing. And then I think the other thing that I want to say is that I'm concerned about a couple of things. First of all, since I'm going to New Orleans, it is hurricane season, so I definitely don't want to get stranded there. When you go out west, there's definitely freight traffic. Sometimes you could be delayed a couple of hours, and I don't want to miss out on a couple of things. But I think overall, I'm going to have a great time on this trip. I'm happy that I'm going to go and celebrate my 34th birthday when I go to Chicago a second time. And, it's going to be a great experience, for my birthday. I've worked really hard for this. And the last thing that I want to say is I want to thank my Aunt Joanne, because, when I was a kid, she'd always show pictures of her travels across the world. One time she went to Egypt, she went to Russia one time. I was jealous she went to Japan one time. That's one of my goals for the future. And it was always really awesome just hearing her stories and just seeing these pictures and just saying, wow, that's really cool, she's traveling. And I want to thank my biological Aunt Lisa, because what happened was, when the courts had to kind of remove me and my brother from our biological mother, who was very abusive and neglectful towards us, she testified to make sure we didn't go back to her. So, one of the reasons why I'm alive today is because, she stood up for me. And, last year, my biological brother got in touch with our biological family, and I got to know a little bit about, this woman, Lisa, who saved both our lives when we were kids. And then also we're working on a bit of a friendship and a relationship with our biological family, but it's very, very hard. And I also want to thank my friend Anna in Vermont. Through all the hard times I've been through, in my 20s and 30s, she's kind of been somebody who's kind of inspired me to kind of really grow up, get over bad people, and really move forward. And I really would say that the last thing is, I'm really excited for this. I've waited 10 years to do a trip like this. It means a lot to me, and I encourage everybody else to find that journey they want to take in life. is a pizziola sandwich. You know, some cheese, some pepperoni, and some broken up meatball. I would say it's passable. The next sandwich I got is turkey, lettuce, and cheddar cheese. For a turkey sandwich, I don't like that it's a little bit warm, like probably warm meat, but it's not a problem. Too much. You know, a lot of people kind of ask me, why do I spend my birthday alone? And the truth of it is, like, I've always kind of been a lone wolf most of my life. And so I've always kind of felt like a lonely person. So the idea of just spending it with people doesn't always make me happy. The next thing was that my biological mother was abusive and neglective. So I always kind of feel like when I celebrate my birthday or celebrate with a bunch of people, it's kind of one of those things that it hurts a lot because coming where you came from. And then also I've been through a lot of really hurtful and painful things in my life. So I kind of feel like there's a sense of masking how I feel. And I've definitely dealt with my fair share of bullying, racism, people not understanding me. So sometimes I think, like, when I think of my birthday, it makes me angry to celebrate it with people because I'm like, you know what, well, I'm not always treated with the same amount of respect. I'm not treated with a neutral form of respect. So that's why I just kind of hate it. I hate celebrating with people because there is a sense of, you don't know me, you don't know how I'm hurting on the inside. So, you know, with this journey, it is kind of like this whole trip is probably going to be my best birthday ever in my life because I am traveling. I am doing something that I want, and it's ultimately a quest, and it is a goal. And it's what I make of it. The other thing I need to say, because I lost some of my old footage, is that my ultimate goal is just to really just figure out who I am and where do I want to be in the world. What do I want to become when I am going back to Connecticut? Do I want to be a filmmaker still? Do I want to be alone the rest of my life? And I also think through this video, there's definitely going to be a lot of just who I'm supposed to be, you know, who I'm trying to become, and who do I want to be, and all that stuff, you know. So it's going to be a really interesting journey, and I think that ultimately I do hope that, you know, even if I never accomplish any of my dreams, or one of my dreams being a successful filmmaker, I do hope that, you know, some people who watch this video can learn a lot from how to tell stories, or even like a travel log and journal type of thing. And I ultimately hope that, you know, even though I'm a kind of a quirky character a little bit, that, you know, there's a point in my life where people can look at this and just see that I'm just a serious person who's had depression, has had a lot of sadness in my life, and who's trying to overcome it. You know, this is not only a travel video, this is also just a video of getting to know, you know, the real version of myself, because, you know, I've always been fake many times in my life because I've been in scenarios that have been, you know, kind of hurtful to me, and I'm trying to just be real to me, and I think that's important. So, you know, I'm just happy for my journey, and I'm happy to enjoy it, and I'm happy to challenge myself. You know, to the root of who I am, that's true to who I am, and I'm happy to take, you know, anybody who watches this video along for that journey. So instead of 8 a.m., we're going to be in Chicago at 10:30 a.m. So after I have my bagel and hot chocolate, I have to think about what I'm going to do today. There's a lot of different things to sign up for, so they have to take first precedence because I really didn't enjoy the Capital Limited. There were a couple of things that bothered me. Like, first of all, the conductor was telling jokes over the intercom, but some of it was just really cheesy stuff. Like, if there's an emergency, you don't. If there's an emergency, the train goes into into water or whatever. You just stay in your seat. You just don't try to get up, and you don't try to be a hero or whatever. And then the other thing too was I remember the server who was sitting down at one point when people wanted to kind of get food, so he kind of was throwing his he was throwing his napkin down and punching a table because he didn't want to just keep sitting down and getting up for people. And, I felt that was just kind of rude and passive aggressive. Also, this train was late at least 3 to 4 hours. And also, this was a superliner train. And superliner trains are supposed to have the AMTRAK observation deck, the big glass windows where you can kind of look at the landscape and the beauty of America. But this train did not have that when they usually do. So that was actually one of the reasons why I went down on the Capitol Corridor. Actually left a day early to go to the Capitol Corridor. So I feel what I wanted wasn't offered, and that was a huge letdown. I think some of the positives that obviously I had some questions for about the service and other things like that, and they were good and very, very attentive, and that was that. So right now I want to talk about the pros and cons of the Northeast Regional train. That I really don't have any cons. That I really love this train because they always vacuum it, they always keep it clean. I got myself a hot dog and a soda. It always tastes good, even though the hot dog was microwavable. And they're really big about being on time. And also, when I've rode this train in the past many times, that they're always usually on time, and they always keep the train in a really, really great condition. So, I had a great experience with the Northeast Regional today, and also I would recommend this train to anybody, anytime of the year they want to take this train, even if it's from Boston to Washington, D.C., or part of one of the stops to D.C. This is one quite tasty burger. Very toasty. Toasty bread, toasty meat. Has a lot of good cheese taste. I don't really taste the bacon too much, but it's alright.
It all started right here with the Chicago school style. Louis Sullivan and William LeBaron Jenney innovated a steel frame infrastructure. This would pave the way to the modern skyscraper that you see all around you. These buildings are not exceptionally tall, and you will see examples of this once we're out onto that main branch, but they are considered to be skyscrapers. Red brick cladding on the outside, not providing any structural support, therefore aesthetic purposes only. All of that support is coming from the steel skeleton. So you will be seeing 5 prominent architectural styles along the tour.
So I got some exciting news for everybody that finally, after 33 years, I'm getting my passport. And it's been a rough battle because I got in touch with I had to get in touch with my biological father. And my brother also had to do like the 33andMe and really track down our biological family for this to happen. So I want to say thank you to him. And that's also made the past year kind of rough for me because I've heard different stories about like how I grew up, and then just like what's happened to me, and also just, how I was adopted and other things that went on. But yeah, I think that ultimately, anybody who is adopted and they have a hard time getting your passport, sometimes you have to get in touch with your biological family. Sometimes they may have paperwork, sometimes they may not. I would say to anybody, if you can't get a passport because you are adopted, you had name changes, and that was the issue with me, and the government makes it hard, there's no problem, just doing a protest or getting a bunch of people together and doing a protest and saying that they should make it a lot easier because having a passport is a human right. And when I say protest, I mean peaceful protest. And I don't mean invade the Capitol building or any other of that crazy shit. But it's not fair. Everybody has a human right to a passport. Everybody has a human right to travel. And if it's harder because you were adopted, it should not be hard. It's not your fault because you got adopted. It's not your fault because your parents gave you up. And ultimately, I have some forgiveness to my biological father for giving me up because it says something that he kept a document for over 30 years. So my trip to Chicago is done. However, I will be back in Chicago next Monday for my birthday. So, it's a very, very beautiful city. I really love the architecture. It reminds me if Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, and New York City were in the same city, were combined together. It also reminds me a lot of Long Island City. But it's a very, very beautiful place. I think the best part of my trip is going to the art museum and also doing the architecture tour. And, I really like the locals. This is a really nice area. There's a lot of stereotyping that people from Chicago it's nothing more than just a bunch of gangs and people shooting up the place. But, I'm happy that, my video proves that stereotype wrong. But, yeah, I think that one of my biggest regrets is that I was going to do the Willis Tower, and I was also going to do another, tall tower, and I was also going to do the aquarium, but I'm going to save that when I come back for my birthday. I'm also interested to see what the Southwest Cheif is going to be like. This is going to be the longest, the longest part of my journey. It's going to be over 48 hours on a train. Will I like it? Will I hate it? There's no turning back. This is on a lot of the trains that head out west, and it's definitely very, very beautiful. So I can't wait to take some pictures and some video during sunrise, sunset, and also during the golden hour. And also if there's rain or thunderstorms in the desert, I'm hoping to see that. And also if there's any snowstorms, hell, I can't wait to photograph that as well. So, this is going to be the best part of my trip, just seeing all the beautiful foliage and everything change. So, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau talked about how, you find God, you find your spirit, you find your soul in nature, and I'm going to do that. enjoying my trip, and I'm really enjoying this part of the journey where I'm in Colorado. And I was actually real surprised. I thought there was going to be a lot of forestry in Chicago, but actually it's a lot of prairie land, and it's slowly transitioning into the desert. So, by the end of the day, I will be in Arizona, and then I'll also be in parts of New Mexico. So I'm really awesome. I've never been this far out in the United States. It's so beautiful out there. It honestly feels like you're on another planet with just how many different colors there are in the sunrise here, and how the ground is so colorful. It looks like you're on Mars or a foreign planet. But I'm really happy that I'm doing this. I think that I'm gonna look back on it, and it's gonna be something I'll be very proud of. Unfortunately for me, right here, wearing these masks all the time is giving me a bit of a skin rash, so I'm not happy with that. I do feel that, I'm going to be on the train for another 24 or 25 hours before I reach Los Angeles. And, that's not going to be hard for me because I'm enjoying myself a lot. And then the other thing that I will say is that, it's kind of crazy to think that I'm just going through, a small part of Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, and to think about, how big those states are, that it's going to take a little bit over 25 hours to kind of get to California. And I can't wait to do whale watching. I did not mention this before in my video, but in California there is Japantown. I always wanted to go to at least one Japantown or Tokyo Town in my life. I was going to go to Seattle earlier this year, but things happened. But I'm really into Japanese culture, so I want to go to the Japanese Heritage Museum. I want to go to Japantown. I want to do some whale watching, and I want to get some sushi. And there's some really good ice cream shops. enjoyed the Southwest Cheif, and this was actually my favorite train the entire journey. Like, it was very, very beautiful to, go through to go through Colorado, to go through New Mexico, and to go through Arizona. The person who was selling concessions, he was a very, very hospitable guy. And actually, he was one of the servers on the Sunset Limited as well when I was riding it. But, it was also a very clean train. They worked hard to be on time, and they were very, very professional. And also, there weren't a lot of people riding, so I had a lot of time on the observation deck to kind of get a lot of work done, and then also just to see the beautiful landscapes. And this was a life-changing trip because this was actually when I got to see America and how beautiful and how big it was. So, the Sunset Limit. The Southwest Cheif has a huge place in my heart.
Well, I never expected to do that this morning. I put my hand on the Berlin Wall. My hand still has some chills, so it was a piece of the Berlin Wall, and somebody put some write-up about it on a message to Donald Trump, just talking about like how they're protesting the border wall separation and how that's hurting families, and it's similar to the wall in Berlin. And as you see behind me, there are some signs on this building talking about just respect towards Asian Americans and all that. So definitely it's like what they say about Los Angeles. It's a very progressive town. Yeah, I'm really checking out this exhibit, and it's kind of really sad because it's about the Japanese concentration camps. And I think that one thing that kind of upsets me a lot is like they don't really teach that in public schools. Like I remember just only one paragraph just saying it happened in high school, but it's one of those things that is kind of overlooked in American history. The same thing with like the bombing of Black Wall Street or Unit 731. There's a lot of like atrocities that are not really taught, and that should be taught. So I'm happy to visit this, but it's kind of really moving, but also like really somber as well. So I'm going to do some whale watching today, and this is also really cool because I'm going to be the furthest out west that I've ever been in my entire life, and deep into the Pacific Ocean. So I'm really excited for it. And that was one of my main goals, is that I've had a hard time getting my passport, and I always wanted to visit Japan. So this is like this trip that I'm doing
on this whale watching tour. It's going to give me the closest I ever gotten to Japan. So I'm really excited to do this,